What up?
Hello.
Testing, testing. I read you.
Oh, I didn't know anything was written on me.
It's all over your face, buddy. It's the face of a man who hasn't done his homework, like
Nah.
I have 5 minutes ago.
Oh, that's like me in high school. I would
You,
do
you,
homework
you
before
want a
the as
copy?
right. Yeah, totally. No, I was planning to watch that shit tomorrow. I've been trying to like keep up with the news. Like it's God, that's why I just got so overwhelmed because just so
It just
much
keeps on
every
pouring.
fucking day. So like And honestly, to be full disclosure, I don't think I have it in me to go for hours tonight because I was honestly planning to wrap it up about 8 minutes from now. Because I
Right.
found out late in the day that I have to go, like literally as my boss was leaving, um, that I have to be at work at 5 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. So, so I was planning to turn in a little early, but whatever. I mean, whatever. What do you think of the title that I pitched?
Let me see. That was a
Because I'm
text.
rather fond of it.
Trumpster fire, the fascist oligarchy special.
Yeah.
I like that. That's
Okay,
good.
good.
It's catchy.
Good. We've gotten 2 new subscribers since our last full episode went up, by the way. One today,
Nice.
probably from our shorts. Which
I did
which
watch those.
you what? Oh, which ones? Like, I mean, they've got
I watched
another one
all of
went
them.
up today.
Okay, I haven't
Like
seen that one then.
I've got about 20 something scheduled.
Nice.
So they're going up frequently. I'm going to try to get um after each episode, I'm cutting 3 old episodes to fill in the time between. Which should catch us up by the end of season 2 to where we're just cutting the latest episode. Like I'll edit the episode and the shorts at the same time, and then after the episode goes up, I'll have the shorts scheduled to go up between that and the next episode that are from the current episode. And with the specials, I think I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm not going to wait like a year to start shorting those out because they're really current topics. So anyway, um, so I'll just what I would like to do with this episode that's just been not like what I don't want to do is have it just be two people going, "Oh my God," and then he fucking did this. Like I don't want it to just be reactionary. I want it to be I mean, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to come up with an actual kind of a structure for it, but it's been hard to focus because of all the bullshit. Um, so like I do want to talk about I know I want to talk about the inauguration. You watched that?
Yep. At least up to well, really the only thing I watched was Trump's speech.
That's all I
I
planned. That's
I
all
I
I care
watched
about.
I watched the swearing in process.
Uh-huh. Is it true he didn't even touch the Bibles?
Uh, it's hard to tell with the camera.
Okay, the photos I saw, it looks like his hand is just down and he's not.
So Melania is holding, it looks like Melania is holding both the books like this. And then from what you can see of him, she's like her right shoulder is covering his left
Uh,
in the camera shot, at least from the video feed. And so it's hard to tell if his arm is doing anything below the camera shot like this. Like,
right.
it's but
Okay.
he had his right hand up, and then like I said, Melania is basically right here, and so it's really hard to see if
Mm-hmm.
he's like maybe got his hand underneath the Bible, but you can clearly
Which would
see
be weird.
her hand on top of the Bible
Okay. Huh.
because JD Vance, who was sworn in first. I guess that's the way we
Yeah.
do things. Um, uh, his
Right,
wife,
the opening act, then the main event.
his wife was holding up the Bible, and he had his left hand resting on top of the Bible, like so. And then he had his right hand up. So she was like cradling the Bible, and he was holding it, whereas Melania was doing this. And I don't that I'm gonna have to look into it. That may be a procedural thing because he's already sworn in on the Bible once. Maybe
Mm,
you don't do it again.
I
I
think
just
you do. I'm pretty sure you do. Like,
yeah,
it's easy. We could look that up. I
you
mean,
you,
yeah,
sw you
do
swear
look
into
that up.
court every time, but like that is worth looking up so we don't look like idiots
Yeah,
for
no,
something
and
that
that's
is
kind of like,
for something that has been done before.
hmm
Like, I don't know how many presidents out there have been elected after they've lost an election. Like, been elected
one.
once, just
Grover
Trump,
Cleveland. No, I
Grover.
mean before him one, Grover Cleveland, and it was a disaster. And it was very similar circumstantially. Um, that and he came in being an authoritarian and shit. It was a clusterfuck of a second term. So, and then again,
Gotcha.
and back then he could have gotten a third term and he didn't again. So, um,
I
so
put
I
a
mean,
I put a star on it. Because I noted because I remember you mentioned that he didn't put his hand on the Bible, and so
yeah,
I need to put a star next to that so I can go
yeah,
look
because
it up.
I want to fact check all these things thoroughly because I've seen photographs, but I want to make, we live in an age where photographs may not be real.
They mean
Um,
nothing,
right.
which is a
So,
scary thought. But
and
no, I
that's the
watched
absolute last thing I want to do is spread misinformation and alarmist shit. Okay, so that's one of the things I want to do. Like, let me just break it down. Like, I want to talk about the inauguration.
Mhm.
I want to talk about the executive orders. I want to talk about the firings. And yeah, and I want to talk about, you know, Project 2025, but more what he has
the
straight up
checklist,
said he's gonna do. Like, maybe project it's the same. Like all the Project 2025 brain trust is now in his administration and they're doing it. Like that's the plan. It doesn't mean they can succeed. But see, that's one of the other things I want to talk about. Like go through these things like the executive orders. Like which ones should we actually be worried about?
right?
Or, because some of them, like let's take for example, ending birthright citizenship with an executive order.
Right. Can't do
So
that.
he's just pretending like to be a king, but you can't change the Constitution with a
Not
wave
without
of
a
the wand.
no.
Yeah, and so
Not
that's the
without a
kind of
lot of
thing
I think what is it? Two
you
thirds
have
of the
to.
state?
I think
Like,
I think it's a two-thirds Congress approval before it then goes to the states for ratification. And I don't know what the exact
don't you have to have all 50 states sign off on the ratification for it to work?
no, because God, what state was it? Didn't ratify ending slavery until a few
That's
years
right.
ago.
Yeah.
And we did it without them. So there is a majority rule. I just don't know how much of a majority because I don't think we'd ever have any constitutional amendments if it had to be all of the states. If
Well,
it
we
had to be
barely have any.
unanimous. Right. But no, I don't think anyone is gonna just like, with him threatening to run for a third term. Again, I don't think he's in a good position to win that one. I don't think Congress is going to give him a two-thirds. I don't think the states are going to ratify it. Maybe Tennessee will and Florida, but not enough because he's pissing off his own supporters at this point. Like I want to say, okay, so you want to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. How does that lower the price of groceries? Which, is a new word to him. He didn't know what groceries were, literally. You
Yeah.
see him talk about it. He's like, "Oh, in grocery, I run on groceries. What? What kind of a word is that? I started using that word and people voted for me.
And then goes on to talk about how it's a nice word.
I'm gonna try, I want to be as objective as possible because
Three-fourths of states.
three-fourths.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a huge majority. So he can't just wave a magic wand. He can write his little impotent executive
Two-thirds
orders and
vote
feel
of
like he
both
has a big
Congress
dick.
houses. And then it goes to the states
Right, but it has to
for
go through both
three-fourths.
houses of Congress before it can even go to the states. Like, yeah, it doesn't begin and end with his pen. So things like that, you
So, I mean, how
know,
do you want to
I want to
plan the
defuse
structure?
those fires.
Like, so what's the best way to go about that, you think? Maybe
That's what I'm, because
aim for a 2 hour video, block it off into 30-minute segments, and then block those off further into 15-minute segments. And then we will inevitably go over in each one of those segments.
right, right, we could do that. Because you know, it's like as things continue to happen, I'd like to have a structure that can absorb those. You know, like, okay, he's gonna sign more executive orders. He's gonna fire more people. Like last night, he ended Medicaid.
So,
It's
so,
back now. Like because
so one of them, so like one thing we want to talk about is executive orders.
definitely because that's one of his favorite toys right now. And so, you know, I'll spend tomorrow if I'm worried about being exhausted. Like this week's been brutal. Um, because I have a
And
guaranteed
it's only
minimum
Tuesday.
12-hour day tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, because we've got a guy out, he had surgery to get his ACL replaced. Um, and we have a temp and just it's it's rough. Um, and yeah, so I have a guaranteed 12-hour workday tomorrow minimum. So I'm worried I will be too tired to do good research. Um,
So
so
I've
I
got
don't know.
orders as one block of the episode.
Yeah.
The inauguration as another block. I could see the executive orders being
Yeah.
a 30-minute or even a 45-minute, like if we want to block, because there's a lot to go over with the executive
There's
orders.
a lot.
That is the
There's a
main
lot.
thing as of right now, is
It
just the
really
nonstop
is.
signing of the executive orders.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And
so
like we could like speckle his campaign promises and Project 2025 just sort of throughout. Like those don't have to be their own sections. So
right,
we do
just sort of.
inaugurations, executive orders, firings. Um,
See, I know nothing of these firings you speak of.
oh Lord. Okay, he's been firing all kinds of people that he's not like he fired a bunch of attorneys general. Actually, he had one of his minions do it. He today fired all or you know had fired all of the people who the government prosecutors who were investigated and or prosecuted him and people who investigated January 6th. Like all the people, it's utterly unethical whether it's legal or not, but it's not legal either. And I need to know the details of how and why. Like the law speaks out against these things, but the thing is, so it's like those attorneys general could legally show up for work that have shown up to work today because they could just say, I am not legally fired. Like for because the process is like he's only been in office a week. I think he'd been in 5 or 6 days when he did that one. And the president needs to give 30 days notice. He has to go through Congress and get their approval, and then he has to do it in person. That's how you fire an attorney general, and you have to have just cause. You have to have a very good reason, not just I want to replace them with sycophants. Um, so they weren't legally fired, and I'm curious. I don't know. It's been too much. I've had too much going on to actually follow every damn thing. So I don't know what they're if they've showed up for work or if they're just seems like a whole lot of people are rolling over. The media is also probably something we should discuss. Like the media response to what is going on because it's to me the most frightening part. Like and oligarchy. Like we need to discuss oligarchy in depth. Like oligarchy and the media because it's connected. Thing is, the oligarchs have bought the media, so you can't trust anyone. A prominent news anchor quit today live on television because of his network just bending the knee and sucking Trump's dick. Like they're just, they're scared of retaliation. So they're just letting the king wear his crown. Like they're going along with the narrative. They're bought, they're owned by the billionaires. You have assholes like Elon Musk saying shit like, um, and we're gonna also get into oligarchy, of
Hold on,
course,
hold on.
in the next special.
Hmm.
What?
Okay. I opened an article and then like the ad started playing in my ears and it was like
Uh,
messing with you.
oh,
But the ad sound wasn't even on. Let's see.
gotcha.
Yeah. It was a CNN host of all
hmm
things.
And I can't remember his name. He's prominent. It's
Acosta.
yes. Okay. So yeah,
Jim Acosta.
quit
Yeah,
live, and
today.
I fucking respect the shit out of that because that's what needs to happen because journalism is dead, and journalism is the unofficial like the checks and balance. It's the you have the
Yeah,
executive
yeah.
branch, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and you have the free press, which is journalism is supposed to say, here is what is going on for real. But they're scared shitless of Trump, which, I mean, you can't be a real journalist if you let being scared shitless stop you. Otherwise, Nixon would have had a longer term.
Yeah,
And,
he notes that going to Cuba with President Obama was in 2016 was a defining moment for him. He
uh,
said, quote, I had the chance to question the dictator there, Raul Castro, about the island's political prisoners, Acosta said on air. As the son of a Cuban refugee, I took home the lesson. It is never a good time to bow down to a tyrant. I've always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. So
yes,
pretty much exactly what you just
yes,
said.
it's a check and balance on the entire government system. And
And
so, like,
basically I mean, he hasn't this article doesn't mention any comment of his on his exact firing. Maybe I'll watch the video of him quitting on air to get more
yeah,
insight
I
into
will.
that. But uh basically he's been a longtime critic of Trump,
hmm
and Friday they wanted to move his usual time slot, which I don't know what it is. It doesn't make reference here.
hmm
And he was offered a midnight time slot in a jarring shift just as Trump began his second term. In a statement on
hmm
Friday, a
They will
CNN
not bury him.
spokesperson said the network was in active discussions with Jim about a new time slot and will have more information to share soon. So basically, yeah, they want to go away from a more divisive critic of Trump
Right, right,
and
because they
in
know.
order in order to try to appear to have some sort of neutrality, I guess would be the
We'll see.
reasoning for that.
What I'm seeing largely in the billionaire owned news networks and such, is that they're more just siding with Trump. Like they're trying to say, okay, no more diversity, no more of any of the shit he doesn't like, which it makes me wonder, like, how long is Saturday Night Live gonna get away with it? Because anytime he's always like, that show needs to be canceled. They were gonna, and he's always threatening to take away people's broadcasting licenses. So. I don't know. There's a lot to look into fact wise is why it's so I was just so overwhelmed on whatever day I texted you yesterday. I don't
I think
know.
it was yesterday.
It seems like it's been a week since then. Um but yeah, so
Oligarchy.
oligarchy,
So we've got executive orders, inauguration, firing or firings, media response, and oligarchy.
yeah, I think
That's five blocks.
those are the main ones, I think. And then
Gotcha.
we break those down into, like executive orders, like which ones are genuinely concerning and which ones are bullshit. Like which ones can we literally just laugh at and take off our worry plate? Um,
I'll say right now, I could spend some time on the inauguration.
okay.
Because I have about
I was
three.
expecting, that there's going to
Yeah.
be much worth discussing in that. So, which
So
I
I mean,
haven't
I've
subjected
got
myself to it yet.
3 pages of notes here,
Okay,
top to
wow.
bottom, and it's mostly just quotes
Uh-huh. Oh, good.
um and a little bit of insight things.
Uh-huh.
I'll just read them off here, and I mean you're gonna hear it too. Basically everything he said. I will say one thing.
Mm.
Compared to his other speeches, this one was actually well cadenced, and
Okay.
it seemed like he stuck to a script pretty good.
Mm.
Um,
Which is a low bar for a
yeah,
president, but
yeah. Because there was actually, I wrote down on the side here at the very end, like taking away who's saying it, it was actually pretty inspiring. Like whoever wrote that, pat on the
mm,
back, because there
mm,
was a good like 1 minute line. It was hard to tell because I was watching at 1.75 speed.
uh-huh.
But there was a good 1 minute line just where he was just going off saying like good stuff,
Mm,
like n non-partisanal stuff about like what we should be and what we shouldn't be, and like barring who it's coming from, that's the ironic part. But it was
yeah.
profound
Well,
what
it
he was
was
saying.
written for him by
Yeah,
someone. Like he doesn't know what he was saying, probably. Like just history shows. He's gonna get
right.
on Twitter and contradict every damn thing he said. But
No, I mean
oh,
he was
and
contradicting it within the speech still.
mhm,
Um,
typical,
like one of
fascinating,
yeah, let's
horrifying.
see.
Oh, before I forget though, also I'd like to talk about his international policy
Right.
so far because that's been significant, threatening war with our allies, Greenland, Canada. Canada, which today threatened to retaliate by cutting off New York's electricity. Did you know New York got their electricity from Canada?
I did.
I did not. I didn't know Canada supplied so many states electricity.
Yeah, a lot of the Northeast.
Yeah, and I love that move. I'm like, damn, go Canada. But
Yeah,
anyway,
but the retaliation for that from that would be probably massive if they
yeah,
pulled a
no,
stunt like that.
it's gonna be epic. Like I'm
Because
hoping
I don't
people
know
just
for
back
sure,
the
but
fuck down.
I would say that Canada gets a lot more from us than the electricity we get from them.
Hmm.
Like economically, we could probably destroy Canada if we wanted to.
Well, we get a lot from Canada. And we give a lot to Canada. Like that's the thing. Like, do we want to go to trade war on our? I think they're our top trading partner.
I think you're
Either
right.
way, import, exports. This is ridiculous. But yeah. So I would like international policy on there too,
Um,
as we break it up. And that's okay to go back to what you were saying.
yeah. Let's see. So a lot of the my initial thoughts were a lot of the opening comments from like I watched all the speakers leading up to Trump. I'll say that. So like
Ah,
I listened to the prayers given by
okay.
two. I didn't hear the one that everybody's ranting and raving about, where I read the
Oh, I think that
transcript
was
of.
after the fact. We're the one where
Gotcha.
she like, said things in line
Said the
with the
most
gospel
Christian
teachings,
things. Yeah,
and they're like,
one of the most Christian
fuck these
things that a
people.
Christian has done since Donald Trump took
Yeah.
power. Like,
Yeah. And they
um,
accuse her of politicizing it. She was literally quoting Christ.
yeah. So a lot of the opening things were about enduring our enduring democracy and defending the Constitution, which is just given
Huh.
the events that followed is an absolute joke.
Right.
Um,
And that's cool because now we can put it more in context with what he's actually done since saying all of this too.
yeah. He announced his spree of executive orders at his inauguration speech.
Hmm.
He said, I'm going to sign a historic amount of executive orders. I will sign the most executive orders that this country has ever seen.
He's
And
always got a PT Barnumate.
which he
Like
can't
the
do, by the way,
greatest, the
because
best. Yeah.
Biden signed the most executive orders of any president and probably
I mean, so
forever.
far, he did sign a lot. And a lot
Yeah.
of it was to undo the damage. Because I
Yeah.
remember when Biden got into office and he just started, okay, I can fix this right now. I can fix this right now. I can fix this right now. But,
Some of it is nitpicky.
uh-huh.
To call basically it's what do they call that? Like cherry picking, I guess,
Hmm.
because technically Biden signed like 1,000% more. Like the average executive orders is like 350, 400, and Biden
Yeah,
signed
it's not
like almost
often done.
9,000.
Jesus.
And the thing is it's sort of misleading because over 6,500 of those were specifically pardoning and releasing criminals from the prison system who were
Ah,
convicted
okay.
of having small amounts of marijuana
So each individual one goes to his
counted.
count. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
because he
And
had to
see,
sign
that's the
for
kind
each
of thing
individual.
that should be looked at because people will throw a big number out and be
Yeah,
like, ooh, scary. Just like, like when people throw out, like I had an argument with someone about us sending money to Ukraine, and they were like, we sent this much money to Ukraine and this much money to hurricane or flood victims here. And I'm like, oh, per person. Like they said the whole amount for Ukraine and per person for like flood
yeah.
victims. And I'm like, okay, no,
You got
you
to
need
add
to
it
do
up.
math. You
Yeah,
need to look at why aren't they doing it equally? Like they aren't doing per person in Ukraine. They aren't doing the whole amount for that state. Like people throw out numbers to try to be misleading, to get you on their side. But if they
yeah.
won't give you details, that's sus.
Before I watched anything, I wrote down just like some thoughts that I was having today about like and we've discussed this before, but the conservatives, the MAGA movement depends, it's a campaign of fear.
Yeah.
Fear of immigrants, fear of the LGBTQ, fear of minorities, fear of the deep state, fear of a wrathful God. Like
Hmm.
it's all fear, 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 fear. Like everybody is
Fear.
so afraid. Like
Yeah, be
get
afraid.
people
They're gonna turn your
afraid.
kids into transes. They're
Yeah, the immigrants are coming. The
take
trans
all your
people are gonna
jobs.
rape your kids. The minorities
Hmm.
are gonna take your jobs.
And your
The
guns and
don't trust the government, but trust us. We're not the government,
right,
but we
because
are
we're
the government.
anti-establishment.
And then
You're anti-democracy. Wait.
yeah, so I wrote down all of that because I mean that has to do with a lot of that the national emergency at the border. Oh, this was a quote from him on the tariffs and whatnot.
Mhm.
Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax other countries to enrich our citizens.
God damn it. Yeah, he wants to get rid of income tax because the
Yeah.
IRS is after him and the billionaires all hate the IRS. Um, you know, It wouldn't hurt us to not pay taxes, but the government wouldn't last long because you don't, like, he wants to create the external revenue service
Yes,
that
that was the next thing.
collects tariffs from other countries. That is not how fucking tariffs work. Why can't he get it through his head? Other countries do not pay tariffs. They don't owe us money. We don't tax them. It's a tax on the American people on imports from any given country.
Yeah.
Like with the electric car, you don't want Americans to buy an electric car from China. put a 100% tariff on the thing. No one's going to buy that car because the American person would have to pay
The tariff.
double
Yeah.
what they would have originally paid just to pay the taxes. So you pay 60 grand for the car and then you pay 60 grand in taxes. Like that's what a tariff is. We pay it. The other country, it's just to deter us from buying their exports.
Yeah. It's
That's
a
why
form
it's
of
supposed to.
it's a form of flexing your economic power
Yeah.
and pressuring another country to do what we want them to do, and then we'll remove the
Uh-huh.
tariff, and then you'll have our customers.
Right, but putting a massive tariff on a car company no one in America has even heard of versus putting a massive tariff on people who import food, coffee, drugs, like medicine, like that's different. Stuff that we have to buy,
Yeah.
like
Stuff that isn't produced here.
right. He's raising the price of groceries and gas and everything. It's
I
hypothetically,
mean,
that's if this actually happens, because
is it not possible to change the meaning of the tariff? Like, is it not
you
possible
can't.
to, like, as in, like, is it not possible to goad an exporter into, if you want the American people, you will charge us less, essentially, not making them pay
Well,
anything, but
that's different, and that's called price negotiation. But
but
you
that's left to
can't.
individual importers. If the government got
Right.
involved and used its weight to say we will, I don't know. I was just thinking about, like, I see what he's trying to do, and he's
Yeah, I
using the
see what
wrong
he
word.
thinks he's doing.
Yeah, he's
If
using the
there
wrong
isn't a
word
tariff,
essentially.
and taxing other countries is like we're going to
Is
build a
not a
wall and
thing.
Mexico is going to pay for it.
Yeah, that's
You
not a
can't
thing.
decide that. You can't charge fees and have a collection agency to go collect taxes from other fucking countries. They'll
Yeah,
just stop trading with you.
what he
They've
should be
got each
saying,
other, and that's
instead
what the
of saying all of
European
this
Union is
tariff
doing.
and taxing mumbo jumbo, the only thing he needs to say is, as president, I will see that we increase our gross exporting factors, and which will make the America rich,
Yeah,
which is
export more
all
than we
true.
import.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's all he needs to be saying, because that's,
Uh-huh.
if you're talking about foreign economics, that's all that needs
Right.
to be said is, as president, I will work to see us export more than we import.
Right. And you could like I was thinking about it, you could and we really probably shouldn't talk about this like in detail. We should save that for the actual podcast. So
Yeah.
we say it there because I was thinking, there is a way to make his idea kind of work, but it's not like we would still be paying the tariffs without paying income tax. Well, see, but that doesn't change anything
No.
because we're still paying it.
He
So
just
like
wants
if you
to,
just replaced income tax with tariffs, and it might not make that much of a difference, but what's the
no.
damn point? Because
Yeah.
he's not really saving us money. If we
No.
still have to pay the tariff that equates what we used to pull in taxes, no,
Now,
there's no way
now,
this
to
makes
be
any
fair,
fucking sense.
that would be based on your spending more than your income, though. That would flip the script, and you would pay the government if you want to buy exports, whereas right now the government knows how much you make and then takes money that way.
Right.
And instead,
And it's unfair.
the government would only make as much as you want to buy coffee
Uh-huh.
from Colombia. So, I mean, there is some
Right.
merit
Right.
to
And
that
rich people and
idea.
poor people would have to pay the same amount, but not the same percentage.
Yeah.
Still it wouldn't be the same percentage. Like
Yeah.
a rich person has to pay $20 for a small cup of coffee, and a poor person has to pay $20 for a small
Who
cup of
spent more?
coffee. Yeah, poor people aren't going to be drinking coffee anymore. So
Right.
it's a terrible idea.
That's my first inauguration that I've ever
Oh,
watched.
really? Okay.
Um, and God, it was brutal. I started off at 1.5x, and it was still so fucking slow.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, let's fucking move, people. Jesus. And it's, the worst part about the inauguration was it was on MLK Day. because
Right.
he
I know.
because he
Bitter
mentioned
irony
because he mentioned that, they're like, starting right now, MLK's dream will come true. And I'm just like,
of a
dude,
white supremacist
yeah,
America. Fuck no.
yeah. I'm like, dude, you're literally your Supreme Court justices that you appointed are already looking at the Civil Rights Acts and like looking at, Brown versus Board of Education and like looking at
Right.
bringing back segregation. Like,
Right. And he's ended affirmative action. He's done all kinds of horrible
yeah,
things. He's no. It's like, no, it'll be based on merit. No, it won't. That's why we
yeah. You
needed
know who said the
affirmative
exact
action
same
in the
thing
first
that
place.
they're going to be a merit-based state? That was Hitler's idea. Like they
Mm-hmm.
were all about we're going to be merit-based. That was one of the original like core things of the Nazi Party, I'm pretty sure, was that
Yeah,
they were pushing for merit-based, where
right.
everything will be
Translation.
merit-based.
Yeah, no.
Where translation is in the only people with merit have Aryan
Ex
blood in them.
right, exactly.
And
God damn it.
yeah, so I mean,
Fuck.
and then all the executive orders. I mean, you've got ICE trackers now on Facebook. Like half of my Facebook feed is like people being like, "Hey, ICE was just spotted in Hearst, Texas. Watch out." And it's like if people sharing like if you see ICE. Like one of my Facebook friends, she was talking about she was at work and one of her customers was like crying because she just got a phone call that her mother had been taken from her home by ICE and was being shipped off to who knows where, and she
Right,
doesn't
and the
know what
government
to
doesn't
do
know
or who
where.
to call. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's scary for,
Right.
all
It's
Hispanics right
terrifying.
now.
It's terrifying. And they're gonna have more constant we no, this is the podcast. This is because there's a lot I could say on that, but I'm not going to because
Okay, so right now we've got executive orders, inauguration, firings, media response, oligarchy, international policy, and cabinet picks. So that is seven
seven.
blocks.
Hmm.
Inauguration should go first,
I agree. I think
and
I think
then
cabinet picks second.
I think cabinet pick second works.
Yeah, stuff that's like him setting it up. Oligarchy, I don't know. Oligarchy
I
and
feel
the
like
press could be
oligarchy,
last,
yeah,
maybe.
sort of like
And
the takeaways. Like
yeah,
some of
because
these are like what's happening, and then some of them are these are the themes that we're seeing.
right. Right. I mean, because we're gonna see oligarchy in the cabinet picks. We're gonna
Yes.
see oligarchy in the press. Like
Yeah, so I don't
the
know if oligarchy even needs a block or if we just
right.
approach each one of these with oligarchy in mind.
Right.
And we could
Um,
and we could disclose that to the listeners as well. As we
right.
break into the episode, we could say these are the seven. We could be transparent, say these are the seven blocks we came up with, and we'll be touching on these probably interchangeably, but
Hmm.
this is the general order. And
Yeah.
I don't know, just so that if in case we get to the end and we're like, well, what's left to say about oligarchy?
Hmm.
Like, we kind
Right.
of we kind of did it all there.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you're right. Oligarchy is kind of just part of Trump. That is the platform. This is government for the billionaires by the billionaires.
yeah,
Everything he's doing favors white supremacist billionaires.
yeah,
Um,
and
so
and aspiring billionaires, like
right, but
not just billionaires, but like people who, you know, billionaires is sort of the shorthand, but it's really the wealthy, the
yes, the
1%.
the 1%. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I was running some numbers the other day on like just average economics for the average American. And
Hmm.
it's actually hard to find data on this, but our averages are skewed because of the 1%. Like the average American income is something like $65,000. And I'm just like, I know like two people
Right.
in my
Yeah,
extended
most
circle that make 65K or more.
exactly. It's skewed because there's so much money in America, but
The best
almost
that I
all
got,
of it is like trillions of dollars is tied up in the 1%. So yeah, yeah.
And
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 you
then
have to,
and then exclude earnings too. Like there's
mhm.
no real good stat on average American net worth because
Right.
it's
Well,
because that's again
the average
skewed.
American
Can't
cannot
afford an
afford to have
apartment.
a savings account.
Yeah, no, the
Yeah.
average American savings was like 65,000. I was like, how much of that is skewed as well by the 1%?
Hmm.
Like I want to see all of American stats if you look at the bottom 99% percentile.
Right. Just cut
Like,
out those trillions of dollars
yeah,
at the
every
top.
cut out everybody who makes a million, who has, a net worth of a million or more.
Hmm.
Like, and I want to see
Yeah,
those
because
economics
mhm.
because that is far more telling about a country when 99% of your people, excluding the top one percenters. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
can't
anyway,
afford rent or eggs or like, I'm in the store at Walmart and I hear people just just gasping and groaning all around me. I heard a dude. This is something that stood out to me. I heard a dude. I'm like getting bottled water, and like behind me are the eggs, and I hear this dude just like in despair, like looking at the eggs, and he asks his wife, "Well, how many eggs do we have at home?" And I'm like,
yeah,
"You should not have to be having that conversation. You should not have to be having that conversation."
yeah, I mean, to be fair, he could be like, we're not going to go through this many eggs if we have eggs at home.
Right, right,
But if it was more of exasperation of like, can we get by with the eggs we have right now?
right, right.
Yeah, the context. But so yeah, inauguration cabinet picks, firings is a whole block. You can't cover that in other blocks. Firings and media response, international policy. I think firings should come, I guess, after cabinet picks. Like he picks who his guys are, and then he gets rid of any opposition.
Ah, okay. So we're going
So firings,
inauguration, cabinet
cab,
picks second,
yep, then firings, and then I was
firings.
thinking, it's a sort of a toss up between international policy and media response because they're both just sort of
I
their
think,
own
yeah,
subjects. Media
I
response I could
think
see
we,
following better
yeah.
because these are the things that happen immediately is cabinet picks, and then international policy is more of a wider view.
But
But
it
then
is
again,
like, if we talk about media response, they're
before anything
responding to
else,
all of
all
it.
of it, yeah,
So maybe we should end with media response because that's also where we fit in too. You
yes,
know,
it
like
is.
because more in you need to be listening to more of the independent people because the media, the large legacy media is purchased by the oligarchs. Um, and people need to learn to be discerning. And there's something I'm going to look up, I can't remember, like a system for critically taking in information. Like I saved it somewhere. I'm gonna find it. I just remembered that. So yeah, I think we wrap with the press and we talk about oligarchy throughout. Um, so four is international policy.
And then,
Oh wait, I missed one.
oh,
Oh,
well, yeah, we're
executive
missing executive
orders.
orders.
Okay, cabinet. No, executive orders comes after. Let's say put that
Cabinet
comes
picks.
after cabinet picks.
Okay,
Yeah, and then we do. No.
fire
Okay, no. We do
after
cabinet picks,
firings,
firings, then
then
executive
executive
orders,
orders.
and
Gotcha.
then international policy, and then the press, media response. So that's six big blocks, big subtopics.
So 20 minutes each, give or take, and
Yeah,
that makes a
yeah,
2 hour video, and
right.
we're
And we're gonna go
inevitably
at
gonna
least
go over.
three. We
Yeah,
always go about three.
yeah.
And then, we kind of get tired and
So
die like Jaws of the Book.
yeah, now I'd like to discuss my main concerns for doing this video.
Hmm.
and how we approach them. You've already touched on it in our discussion here. I don't want to spread misinformation. I have
Right.
to be very careful about like claiming this or that.
Right. Like if we
And
catch ourselves doing that, we should
like,
stop and
yeah,
fact
stop
check
me. Yeah.
ourselves.
And
I
I
really
try
think we
to.
should.
Yeah, but we can't do that live.
Right.
Like,
Although
or I mean, we could
I
just cut
think
it.
we
Yeah.
could. Like if we catch ourselves just going off and being like, "Wait a minute, are we sure about that? Let's right this minute look it up." And that's modeling a behavior, I think. Like if we catch ourselves doing what we don't think people should be doing, let's let them see us correct and show them how it's done. But we should do as much fact checking ahead of time as possible.
I almost want to say when you do this video Friday.
I'm not going to argue with that because like I said, I'm concerned about my energy for tomorrow being my last day to really research.
Yeah.
And Friday we could, if we need to take a little bit more prep time before we start actually recording, it doesn't matter about
Yeah.
Saturday morning. So if you want to, I wasn't going to propose that because I didn't want to say, hey, how about give up your Friday? But I
Which
don't
is why I
care
didn't
because
propose it.
I work on various projects anytime I'm not at work.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
working
have
on a
anything.
project.
I don't have anything going on. I mean, I have stuff going on Saturday, but nothing I need a full night's rest for.
Right, right.
And
Same.
so, yeah, I mean, I say we move this to Friday that way because we're going to go over.
Okay.
I could see us easily,
We
especially if we
are.
stop to research anything, we're going to take 5 hours on this video.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it gives us more
Um,
time to prep, more time for Trump to push the button and just end it all before we even make the
right.
video.
Right.
Um,
Uh,
at least I won't have to worry about bills anymore.
yeah,
And
but I mean that's also a power he doesn't actually have unilaterally. There's other people with a key or something. Like he doesn't just have a button sitting on his desk, or he'd have long since nuked a fucking hurricane. Um,
oh God, that was something that I didn't write down, and I remembered that I should have. Like at the start of the inauguration speech, I was writing down like a little bit here and there, and then by the end of it, I'm like, dude, I'm basically writing a fucking transcript of
mhm.
like because everything that comes out of his mouth is noteworthy.
hmm
And but one of the things he mentioned was I found it interesting how he mentioned the disaster in the South Carolina, how
hmm
people are still recovering from that. And God, what was it? Oh no, how big of a how big of a stink he made over a national emergency at the border. Now we're gonna mobilize and blah 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 blah. I'm just like, okay, but what about the national emergencies that are actually currently happening, like the
Yeah, the
wildfires in
real
California?
ones. Wildfire, which
Like,
he wants to blame them for and say, well, if you'll change this policy about voting registration or something,
yeah,
maybe we'll help you. Fuck you.
yeah,
You
no,
have to
like,
be everybody's president.
yeah,
But he
even
wants
the
to
people who
punish the
didn't
blue
vote for
state.
you. Yeah, he wants to punish the blue states. That's why he mentioned South Carolina before he mentioned
hmm
California. And you know what he mentioned during the California thing? He mentioned even millionaires' homes have burnt down. The most rich and powerful people in the United States, they don't have homes. It's something to think about. I'm just like, fuck you, dude. Like,
Ugh.
they have enough money to build another home. They have
Yeah,
another
whether
home
they
to
have
go
insurance
to.
or not, they're
They they
fine.
they have second homes in the Alps.
Yeah, there are
Like,
people who cannot start over, or
yeah,
starting over is going to be hell.
hell, they're going to have to move back in with their parents.
If they have that
If they have
option.
that, like they're going to have to exasperate every last lifeline that they've got. Some of those
hmm
people, they lost everything in those fires. I've been reading because my brother is affected by that. Um,
hmm
he's right there in the thick of the wildfires. Now, luckily, he lives in one of the most urbanized areas near no trees, essentially, near no forests. And so El Segundo, where my brother lives, is wholly unaffected and at no risk.
Hmm.
But I was keeping tabs on it, and yeah, tons of people have been saying, yeah, Los Angeles is a tinderbox. It's just waiting to go up. More needs to be done, and hasn't been. People are dragging their feet. Our officials are dragging their feet on keeping us safe from inevitable wildfires at this point. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, there is something to be said about, the government is letting its people down. But it's
Yeah,
just
to a degree, they haven't done anything to prep for, they know
right.
this is a, but still, it's also an inevitable thing. Whether they know it or not, it is an inevitable thing.
Yeah, no,
It's bad.
but Trump politicizing it,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it's not the place for that. People are,
Yeah. Oh, because that's one of the things he's doing is he's saying, we want to get rid of FEMA, get rid of it, and let the states handle that. And I'm like, so let the states who are annihilated by a natural disaster work it out on their own, is what you're saying. Like, let them have their own FEMAs. Oh God, Texas is sinking into the earth. Let's send in Texas's people to help. What?
yeah,
Texas's people are fucked. You need people from outside to come in
we
when
are not the divided
Hurricane
states, we are
Katrina
the United
happened. Yeah.
States.
But that said, I am going to try to be objective. But even being
Yeah,
objective in
you
this
can
case
you can
has a liberal
objectively,
slant.
yeah, no, you can objectively oppose everything he says from a conservative standpoint, even
Right, right. From a rational
from a
standpoint.
rational standpoint.
Like,
Like that's
because
the
if you
thing.
want to say you're a Christian, I can
Fine.
object to this motherfucker as a Christian. He's a literal antichrist, an
Yeah,
objective antichrist.
yeah,
Like,
like
as an actual fiscal conservative, someone who actually is concerned about the economic policy and everything, you can fucking object to this motherfucker.
yeah, you can say tariffs are a bad idea.
Right. And
American
tariffs don't work
people
like that,
don't like
dumbass.
tariffs. Like,
Right.
you cannot remove income tax.
Yeah.
You cannot. Oh man. Removing social programs like Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, and everything hurts the American people.
Right, right.
Like, it costs us more in the long run. You know, Sort of just making like a vlog of this is, like right now, you still have to remain hopeful, like that
Hmm.
we're gonna get through the next 4 years. Like,
Yeah.
for like I can see awful things happening. Like this is the phoenix bursting into flame right now. And then
Yeah.
I can see the American people rallying behind a much more liberal radical after this.
Hmm.
After seeing the chaos and destruction that may be coming, or is rather already happening.
Uh,
And the flames could get hotter from here on out, and we'll see.
right.
So,
Yeah.
well, I mean, we can discuss this further. I know you got to
Yeah,
get to bed.
I was gonna say that because I do have to go. I have
Yeah.
to get up so damn early.
So we've got at least our uh our blocks.
Yeah. Yeah, so we kind of have an organized way to gather information that we want to talk about and all that. Like,
Yeah,
and
and
that's what I was needing an assist with just because the chaos was too much.
yeah,
It
and
was
then
just
also
so
to vent
hard.
a little bit.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
We got our thing down. I'll do some
Okay, yeah.
research, and
All right.
we'll
Sounds
uh
good. And we
we'll
can
do
touch base
Friday.
again if you need to, but
Yeah,
yeah.
same. Um, if something big happens in the next couple days,
Yeah.
we can reconvene
Yeah.
and shit.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, it's a good thing we do a podcast and on a live show.
Yeah.
We I couldn't do a live show.
Yeah, yeah, I still want to one day talk you into it. There's got to be maybe with a lighter
No,
topic or not
I'm
even a
yeah,
topic, not even a
no,
topic, just
yeah, I would
yeah,
say some
let's
off
just
the
talk
wall
what's on
shit.
your mind. But yeah, one day,
Like,
one day. Yeah, but yeah, I've got to find bed and sleep or
all right,
couch. All right,
good night.
goodbye.